Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way. Where you walk, where you stand, where you love, where you pray. All of life is holy ground. Every he, every she, every what, every who. It's in her, it's in them, it's in me, it's in you. In the bitter, in the sweet, in the calm, in the storm. All of life is holy ground. So walk as if it's holy ground. Breathe as if it's all around. Talk and make a holy sound. Take your shoes off, you're on holy ground. When you hurt, when you heal, when you laugh, when you pray, when you hold and when you keep, when you give it away. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day. All of life is holy ground. So walk as if it's holy ground. Breathe as if it's all around. And make a holy sound. Take your shoes off, you're on holy ground. We are one journey, one story, one tapestry we weave. One people, one glory, one legacy we leave. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way. Where you walk, where you stand, where you love, where you pray. All of life is holy ground. All of life is holy ground.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm Rabbi Susan Abramson, coming to you from the sanctuary of Temple Shalom Emeth in Burlington, Massachusetts. And this week, I don't take it for granted at all that I'm able to be here on the bima with you. Actually, I made it a point to be here on the bima of our synagogue with you because 2 weeks ago, one of our fellow rabbis was assaulted along with 3 members of his congregation, held hostage for 11 hours in Colleyville, Texas. And so rabbis across the country, lay leaders across the country have had to rethink our whole approach to being in our buildings and what does it mean to be safe and what does it mean for us to all be living in fear at this moment. But I'm just choosing to be here with you today to make a statement that no matter who tries to invade us or persecute us or want to do us harm, that we are going to persist, we're going to resist, and we are going to continue to live out our Jewish lives in the fullest way possible. So with that, it's really my very great honor to be with you in our sanctuary, and we're going to have a very special service this evening in light of what happened in Colleyville, Texas. We're going to have reminiscences of a service where we were all able to be together, led by our Cantorial Soloist Ben Silver and our temple matriarch, Phyllis Berlow, on the piano, to just regain a sense of normalcy and as a symbol, again, of the fact that we will continue to do what we've always done here by worshiping in our community. And I'm also adding to the service this evening many board members of our congregation who have chosen to come into the sanctuary and stand up and read special readings talking about our Jewish faith and our ability to resist and persist. So I hope that you enjoy this particular very special service. Shabbat Shalom. And I now call on Ellen and Richard Finkelman to come on up and light the Shabbat candles for us this evening. This is, again, a special reading in light of what happened in Colleyville, Texas.
Let us kindle the Shabbat lights as a symbol of our determination and resilience. It is a tradition that we light candles for the number of members of our family. Tonight we light 4, one for each member of Congregation Beth Israel that was redeemed from captivity. For last Shabbat, they became a part of our family.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
We stand together against hatred, bigotry, and violence. We stand together in love and support of each other. We stand together in words and deeds. We stand together understanding that our actions matter.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen, 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 amen.
Now that we've lit the lights of Shabbat, we continue by welcoming the Shabbat bride with the singing of L'cha Dodi on page 138. We're going to sing verses 1, 5, and 9. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
L'cha Dodi לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, תשמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, בשם ותפארת בלי תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורי קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה וצהולה, תוך אמונים עם סגולה. בואי כלה מקבלה. לך דודי זכרת קלה, בני שבת מקבלה. בני שבת מקבלה.
And now that we've completed the first section of our service, called Kabbalat Shabbat, or Welcoming Shabbat, we're going to continue with the next section of our service called the Shema Uvirchoteha, the Shema and its blessings, which you may find on page 146. We rise, if we are able, for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due, now and forever.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach. Baruch Adonai Hamavorach. Leolam Va'ed.
Holy One of Blessing, grant us the will to stand firm in the face of evil and hostility, not to be silent or afraid, to work diligently and faithfully to banish wickedness from the earth. Holy One of Blessing, grant us the courage and resolve to speak where there is hatred, to act where there is confusion, to join with others in building a world of safety, understanding, and acceptance. Because there is hate, dear God, help us heal our fractured and broken world. Because there is fear, dear God, grant courage and faith to those in need. Because there is pain, dear God, bring healing to the shattered and wounded. Because there is hope, dear God, teach us to be a force for justice and kindness. Because there is love, dear God, help us to be a beacon of light and compassion.
Page 150, we continue with Ahavat Olam, a prayer asking God to give us God's everlasting love.
Ahavat Olam Beth Israel Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu lemadita, otanu lemadita. Al Kain Adonai Eloheinu b'shachvenu uvkumenu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki him chayinu v'yorech yameinu Vahem nege yomam valahela nege yomam valahela Bi'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev Amo Yisrael Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel. Continue on pages 152 and 153 with the Shema, the watchword of our Jewish faith, reminding us of the oneness of God, which is the core aspect of our theology. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. You may be seated. Please turn to page 154 as we chant the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'vetecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shachpecha uv'kumecha uv'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot ben einecha uv'chtavtam al mizuzot betecha uv'isharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We read together in English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God, Adonai Elohechem Emet.
A reading by Rabbi Charlie Cytron-Walker. We are not helpless. We bring healing with Band-Aids and hugs, a cup of coffee and chicken soup. We are not helpless. We bring healing with a text, a call, a card, a response that says, "You're not alone." We are not helpless. We bring healing with acceptance, patience, and understanding for ourselves and for others. We are not helpless. We bring healing with words of compassion and acts of compassion, reaching out with care and with love. We are not helpless. We bring healing to heart and mind, body and soul. We bring healing every day. We are not helpless.
Now we continue on page 158 with the singing of Mi Chamocha, the song the Israelites sang when they crossed the Red Sea to freedom from Pharaoh's grip.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot oseh pele, Nora tehilot oseh pele, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha וקיים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ויאמרו, זה אלי ענו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praise to you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Gaal Yisrael.
A prayer by Rabbi Karyn Kedar. May I see the spark of holiness in all that I do. May the light of God guide me through the darkness. May my prayers strengthen me, urging me to be present for those who are suffering. May I become a messenger of caring and compassion, a partner with God in the work of healing. May I be guided to fight injustice and to love peace and harmony. May God's blessings be with those who are in my heart as I utter this prayer. May all that is good in life lead me to passion and radiance.
We can now continue with Hashkivenu, the prayer in which we think about God creating a shelter of peace around us, on page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom, Lishalom, V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu Lichayim, Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. We now continue on page 162 with the singing of Vishamru. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'azor et ha-Shabbat lidorotam b'rit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'azor et ha-Shabbat lidorotam b'rit olam. B'nei uvein B'nei Yisrael, Ohori le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam b'rit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam b'rit olam. Uvayom hashvi shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam b'rit olam.
I am cold, hungry, without a home, he said. Please come inside. I will make you a cup of tea. Let us sit a while. I have a moment before I pray, the rabbi answered. We will never fathom how kindness was no match for hate. Perhaps it was an ideology of hate that twisted his soul. Perhaps it was the conspiracy of lies that tormented his mind. Perhaps it was madness. Their backs were turned, facing the ark, standing in prayer, and when this slide was on the screen, they heard the click of a gun. My God, guard my speech from evil and my lips from deception. Before those who slander me, I will hold my tongue. I will practice humility. Open my heart to your Torah that I may pursue your mitzvot. As for all who think evil of me, cancel their designs and frustrate their schemes. Act for your own sake, for the sake of your power, for the sake of your holiness, for the sake of your Torah, so that your loved ones may be rescued, save with your power, and answer me. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, all Israel, and all who inhabit the earth. Amen.
Please rise if you are able.
Ananas vatai tifta. Ananana ufi yagi tehilateha. Ananana Adonai. Ananana vatai tifta. Ananana ufi yagi tehilateha. Ananana Adonai. Ananana vatai tifta. Ananana ufi yagi tehilateha. Ananana Adonai. Ananana vatai tifta. Ananana ufi yagi tehilateha. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. Page 168. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. Page 170. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. Top of page 173, we read together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. We now continue with Shalom Rav, a song for peace, which you may find on page 178.
Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tahasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tahasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon, Lichol HaShalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon, Lichol HaShalom. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tahasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tahasim Leolam. Tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tahasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tahasim Leolam. Tahasim Leolam.
Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people forever, for you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace, Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarich et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We now continue with the Misha Berach Get Well prayer on page 371. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. This evening we think in particular of everyone who is suffering from COVID. There are many people in our congregation and around the country who are still suffering with this disease. We also think of Marvin Weiner, our temple member who's in Florida recovering from heart surgery. Think of Michael Nussbaum. We also think of the officers in Burlington who were injured this past week when someone wielding a knife charged at them at the Lord Barron Apartments. And at this time, if there are names of others you'd like us to keep in our hearts and our minds, you may say their names aloud or in your hearts. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for all their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen.
Mi sheberach avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Mi sheberach imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the ones who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding, strengthened by the power of your love. Mi sheberach avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Mi sheberach imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. Bless us with a vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mi sheberach avoteinu, mi sheberach imoteinu. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
And now we think not only of those who need our support and need our prayers for healing, but we also think about all the blessings in our lives, because God commands us that on Shabbat we're supposed to think about our blessings, not about our sorrows. And so I invite you to think about all the blessings that you have in your life this week. And I'd like to just think about all the members of our congregation who had COVID and have recovered. So I'm saying a Shehachianu for them in honor of their recovery. And all of those who are ill, I'm wishing them also a speedy recovery. I'm also just grateful that the sun has been shining and I've been able to take a walk outside every day. That's been a real blessing. And I know everybody who walks outside just appreciate, it's amazing how much we all appreciate just the fresh air and just being able to see and feel the sun, which we can do more and more each day now. I'm also thankful for all the members of my congregation and all of the people who work at our temple. So with that, we're now going to continue with a special Shehachianu prayer led by Ben Silver.
Amen. אתה, אדוני אלוהינו, מלך העולם. שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה, אדוני אלוהינו, מלך העולם. שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
We pause for a moment of silent prayer. And we now continue with the singing of Oseh Shalom, another song for peace on page 180.
Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh Shalom, bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh Shalom, bimromav, Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen.
Well, Shabbat Shalom again, everybody, and I just wanted to say a few words about this week's Torah portion. This week's portion is called Mishpatim, which means laws. And it follows up from last week's Torah portion in which we were given the 10 Commandments in the parasha called Yitro. And so this week is a kind of an amplification on those 10 basic laws and how we should treat each other and just our relationship with each other. And so in light of recent events, I just wanted to focus on two verses actually, which focus on the word ger. And ger means stranger. How to treat the stranger. And there's been all kinds of talk about this. This is very, very close to me and all the rabbis around the country, this idea of how do you welcome the stranger and what is your obligation to the stranger. As we know, Rabbi Cytron-Walker in Texas invited a stranger in and gave him tea, and as a result, he was taken hostage for 11 hours with 3 other members of his congregation. So we think about what happened in that situation of welcoming a ger. And then we're all of us are thinking about what do we do? Like how do we welcome somebody if somebody comes to the door? Do we interrogate them? Do we send them away? Do we give them alternatives to whatever they want to talk to us about? What do we do? And rabbis across the country again this week are having these unbelievable conversations about how now we're going to have to take hostage training on top of all the other security training. People are talking about, are the chairs in their sanctuary light enough for them to pick up and throw at somebody if they were to become belligerent or violent or aggressive, because that's what Rabbi Cytron-Walker had to do in order to save their lives. He had to actually lift up a chair and throw it at the assailant in order for them to run to safety. People are talking about, what do I do? The chairs in my sanctuary are bolted to the ground. I'm not strong enough to lift my chair. People are talking about what they have underneath their lectern that they could pick up and throw at somebody. Just unbelievable conversations. And I recently had a meeting with just women rabbis who say that their attitude towards welcoming a ger is different than they think some of their male colleagues might be, because we've been brought up and socialized to fear the stranger and to be suspicious of people to ensure our safety. So all of these are our ideas that we've had to think about in light of what happened 2 weeks ago. So our Torah portion this evening, Exodus chapter 22, verse 20 says, "You shall not wrong a stranger or oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt." And then again in chapter 23, verse 9, it says, "You shall not oppress a stranger, for you know the feelings of the stranger, having yourselves been strangers in the land of Egypt." And Rabbi Eliezer warns against the wronging of a ger 36 different places in the Torah. And then the Talmud teaches us that no, it's not 36 places in the Torah, it's 46 places. And Leviticus says, "Love the stranger as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt." So this is a conundrum for us. It's something we all need to think about. How do we welcome the stranger? How do we evaluate the stranger and not be afraid of the stranger? This is something which is at the top of my mind right now. This week I've been told, don't come to the temple, it's too dangerous. Don't park in your parking space, it's too dangerous. Somebody could know that you're alone in the building. I'm alone in the building right now. I'm not feeling afraid, but if somebody came to the door, how would I respond? In the past, we've always ended up, even those with security training have often ended up opening the door immediately when somebody new comes, because that's the way we are. As Jews, we're supposed to be welcoming. We're supposed to be accepting of every single person who approaches us. And in the Reform movement, there's always the idea of audacious hospitality, to do whatever we can to reach out to the stranger and welcome them. Unfortunately, in light of recent events, we were just, the women rabbis on the video that I was on with them the other night coined the term cautious hospitality, because unfortunately in the world we live in today and with continuing anti-Semitism, it's not a question of whether to welcome a stranger, but how to safely welcome a stranger. And so this is something that we all need to consider, but the bottom line is that we are commanded throughout the Torah to welcome the stranger and respect the stranger and do what we can for the stranger. So I hope that this engenders a lot of discussion, and we all try to figure out for ourselves what feels safe for us as well as what feels welcoming for us. Shabbat Shalom.
Restore what is broken. In this time of uncertainty and fear, do not let me rest. Send me forth that I may restore what is broken, heal what is wounded, and engage in acts of love with great and unrelenting determination. I shall do something kind and necessary for someone else. May this be my answer to pain.
And now we're going to continue with the Aleinu on page 586. Please rise if you are able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Hayom hahu yihye Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Hayom hahu yihye Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Hayom hahu yihye Adonai, Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Hayom hahu yihye Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Hayom hahu yihye Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Echad u'shemo echad. Echad u'shemo echad.
We now continue with the Kaddish, the introduction to the Kaddish on page 599. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We recall those who died during this past month: Bill Sullivan, our temple member, Boris Inslichen, Stephen Sadowski, David Schwartz, and we add to their names the names of those whose yahrzeits or anniversary of whose deaths occur this week: Samuel Arnold, Ernest Karp, Eve Dana, Harry Fass, Alan Fishlin, Marilyn Gilman, Marvin Gordon, Dorothy Kramer, Morris Kramer, Libby Rosenberg, Seymour Schwartz, William Talley, Jacob Wasserman. And at this time, if there are names of others you'd like us to keep in our hearts and our minds, you may say their names aloud or in your hearts. We also think of all of those who have died of COVID over the past week, month, year, and couple of years. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing. We rise to recite the Kaddish prayer on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach l'olam al mei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudasha barichu, la'ela min kol birchata u'virchata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shmaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to our country, to all Israel and all the world, as we say together, Amen. You may be seated. I'd like to thank our board members, the leaders of our congregation, for being willing to come into the sanctuary this evening and make a statement with the prayers that they read for us tonight. Our past president, Shelley Rosenbaum-Littman, our temple vice president, Jeremy Kasanov, and other members of our board, Bob Eisenstein, our house chair, Phyllis Neufeld did a reading from her home as the chair of our social justice committee. Gail Wolf, a member of our board as well. The Finkelmans, Ellen and Richard. Ellen's the head of our religious and ritual committee for lighting the Shabbat candles, all making a statement that we are here to stay. And now I'd like to call upon our temple president, Andy Feit, to say a few words and lead us in the Kiddush.
Shabbat Shalom. Here we are once again, virtual format, celebrating Shabbat and as a community together, but not in a way that I think we all envisioned. We thought that by now we would be back in person. For a short time there, we were doing small live stream services with limitations on how many people could be together, and still allowing people to participate virtually if they chose not to congregate with others, but still be part of that community. And I expect that over the next few weeks, we'll continue to operate in this mode. And sometime soon, when Omicron is no longer as big a threat, we'll be able to get back together in person, starting with smaller services and growing back eventually to the way we used to be. But then 2 weeks ago, something else hit a little bit closer to home for many of us. The anti-Semitic events around the world have been with us always and seemingly accelerating in recent years, but they normally target bigger congregations in higher profile cities. The small Reformed congregation in the suburbs of Boston doesn't feel like a big threat, and yet we are aware of it, that we have to keep an eye out. Well, Colleyville showed us that even a small Reformed congregation, it looked a lot like ours. We're highly involved in interfaith activities, relatively low profile. It felt a lot like our own Temple Shalom Emeth. And while we watched for those 11 hours and waited to see what would happen, I think we all felt a connection to them. And happily, it ended well for those who were held hostage. But one of the things that comes across is whether it's COVID or the risk and threat of an attacker, we do come together, and we will come back together in person, but we're together today as a community, and we will continue to do that as it makes sense for the near term. And when we do come back, we'll have a bit more of a focus on what do we need to be doing differently from a security perspective. Do we need more people to have active shooter training? Do we need all of the congregants to understand where our exits are and how to get out and what to do in the case of an event? So we'll look at that. But for now, please join me in the blessing over the wine. And I wish you a Shabbat Shalom. The heaven and the earth were finished and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh bereshit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
And our closing song
will be Havenu Shalom Aleichem, which you will find words to on page 644, and we'll do the version that also includes words to Himei Matov, which happen to be right under that on the same page, as if you didn't know them already. And hope you'll sing along with us. Shaker, shaker. Havenu Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem, Havenu Shalom. Ebeinu Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem, Ebeinu Shalom. Ebeinu Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem, Ebeinu, Aleichem, Ebeinu, Aleichem, Ebeinu Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. May we have a week of peace and of happiness and of contentment, and may our sorrows and stresses dissipate. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom from the Nussbaum and Rose family.
Shabbat Shalom from Gail. Shabbat Shalom from the Lipman family.
Shabbat Shalom from the Stanleys.